All right, so if you want to see what Marvin Harrison Jr. can really do, watch the highlights, watch the tape, because he hasn't worked out so far in the draft process, as he chose not to participate in the combine workouts, didn't do anything at Ohio State Pro Day today. It's all part of the plan, though, as Matt Miller found out with Marvin Jr. and Sr. Listen to this.
I think the big question, we haven't heard from you guys the last couple months as the NFL draft heats up. What has the process been like since the season ended, since we last saw Marvin play?
It's been a very restful process. It's something we took into consideration from day one, which was, how are we going to prepare for the 2024 NFL season? And I sat down, talked to Junior. I said, listen, we can do one or two things. You can picture yourself, and you're a rookie coming in this league, and after you've been playing 3 or 4 years of college football, it's kind of tough to maintain and be strong and have a great, rookie season. So I said, if we just rest, just like every other player or NFL receiver is doing right now in January and February, I think it'll pay off more for you later on down the line.
And Marvin Jr., what has this been like for you? What have you been doing to stay ready and prepare for your NFL career?
I've been in Columbus with my same trainers I've been working out with my whole college career. Just getting stronger, faster, and like my dad said, resting a lot too. So it's been a very fun process though.
Interesting. Okay, Matt joining us from Ohio State Pro Day. And Matt, Marvin Harrison Jr. let his dad do most of the talking, but what was the vibe there around Harrison Jr. today?
Yeah, he's quiet. I think that was the thing that really stood out. I mean, he did loosen up once the workout started. He was here for the entire pro day supporting his teammates. He and Z.J. Stroud were both here, but he didn't participate. And when I even talked to his dad last night on the phone, he said, we're handling this process the way that we want to handle it. We've communicated that to NFL teams. There has been no pushback yet from teams. They met with 9 NFL clubs at the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis. No one took issue with the fact that he wasn't going to be working at the pro day. In fact, I was told from an NFL team source, they actually reached out to teams and said, if we don't work out at the pro day, is that going to be an issue? They were told it's not a problem. We've seen you play for 2 years. There's GPS speed tracking. Turn on the tape. So they feel strongly that his decision to not do anything at the combine or the pro day will not affect where he's ultimately drafted.
Yeah, Matt, it's great perspective. I think sometimes we get all wrapped up in what these guys are doing in the pre-draft process, and then they ultimately end up being great players in the NFL nobody even remembers. RC, what do you think of Harrison Jr. not working out at the combine or his pro day?
I was looking down because I wanted to see what Rome Odunze's numbers were, over 1,600 yards. Malik Neighbors, over 1,500 yards. I don't believe the separation between Marvin Harrison Jr. and those 2 wide receivers is as wide as it was before the last year of football. Now, if you cut on the tape both last year and this year, you know that Marvin Harrison Jr. can flat out play. He can push the football down the field with his speed. We know he can high point it as well. He can beat man-to-man coverage. You've seen all those things. But you will compare those things to Rome Odunze staying on the field at the combine just because he was so competitive. He wanted to get the numbers that he could on the L drill. I coached Malik Neighbors in 7-on-7 when he was in high school. Goes up for a football. A kid splits his lip in half, and I say, Malik, you need to go get stitches. You need to get out. He said, I'll go later, but for right now, I need you to throw me this ball on the next play because I need to score. Those are some of the sorts of guys that he is going to be faced with going up against. Those are the sort of characters and the personalities that other teams will be speaking to. Now, if you cut on the film, all of these guys can play, but we know it only takes one person to have a conversation or to be in the presence of one of these other players and say to themselves, that's the sort of leader, that's the sort of young man I want on my team. Can Marvin Harrison Jr. absolutely do it? For sure. Yeah. But I don't believe there's as big of a separation between himself and those other 2 guys as there once was.
I agree in the conversation of the wide receivers, RC, when it comes to the separation. I think those guys also had better quarterbacks, like Jaden.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's a little bit part. I did not like the fact that he did nothing until I heard his dad explain why. After I heard the Hall of Fame father explain why and the reality of them completely pivoting to like, hey, we're pros now, I kind of like it and I kind of appreciate it. And I think a lot of the teams that are interested in drafting him, who eventually will draft him, are going to like it. And then the second thing is this, Matt, you mentioned he's quiet, because watching that interview, it's a little awkward, candidly. But 2 guys I played with at wide receiver that were as good as they get were Calvin Johnson and Andre Johnson. Both of them incredibly quiet personalities. So I don't want people to think watching that interview that he's not the player that, you know, like the expectation level is just because he's a quiet personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we've seen quiet wide receivers, quiet players, period, be absolute dogs. It doesn't matter who talks in the interview, his dad or him. And hell, his dad's a freaking Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He should be the person with the microphone talking. But I also want to point to that, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. can make decisions that other players can't because of who can speak for him, because of the respect that his father has. Just a random father or someone who has his son at Pro Day can't say that.
Yeah.
But because Senior is who he is and was who he was, I do believe teams will handle this differently with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and guys, to your point, you know, I've talked to wide receiver coach Brian Hartline about Marvin Harrison Jr., and he said he works harder than any receiver I've ever had, and that's on top of the natural God-given ability he has as the son of an NFL Hall of Famer. And listen, they've had some wide receivers here: Jackson Smith-Njigba, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin. These are all studs in the NFL, and they talk about, hey, Marv is actually the hardest worker of any of those guys, where they've had to, like, add his fingerprint back to the facility because he's still here working out. And he's phased out now. They had to, like, add him back in because he still wants to come in here and work out extra. So, yes, he's the son of a Hall of Famer. Yes, he's quiet. He's still the best receiver in this draft. No disrespect to Rome or Neighbors. They're studs as well. But let's not quit. I know you guys aren't doing this, but for people watching, we cannot question the work ethic just because he's not running at a pro day, because he's been in here grinding, getting ready to be an NFL player. Something that wasn't in the interview, as Dad said, September 14th, we will be ready September 14th, week 1 of the NFL season.
That.
Yeah, I mean, Dan, you kind of said, like, the explanation made a lot of sense to you. You can see how NFL teams would think about that and say, yeah, we don't really care. Like, as long as he's ready to go day one for us. And certainly the talent level is there, the work ethic as well, to Matt's point. Coming up here on NFL Live, can Jaden Daniels challenge Caleb Williams for that #1 spot? And Caleb Williams held his pro day today at USC. And while a lot of people have said, okay, it wasn't like the most exciting pro day, it's a pro day. He wanted to show that he could do some nice things inside the pocket, spend some time with the Bears brass and other teams that were there trying to solidify being that #1 overall pick. Here's more from Caleb today.
I wanted to show. They always post a bunch of highlights of me rolling around and stuff, but I throw from the pocket quite a lot. Right. You know, I didn't throw all 300 or 500 the year before from out of pocket. So I wanted to show that I can do consistently, have a base consistently, you know, be stable through it consistently, deliver where I want to throw it, you know, consistently, and, you know, let a few fly so you can see the arm a little bit. So, yeah, so that was my goal.
So, Dan, the comp on Williams is often Patrick Mahomes by some. Are there any concerns with that style of play when it comes to Williams at the next level?
Yes, there's a lot to love and some to realistically question how transferable it is going to be. So USC, it's 2nd and 8. That matters into this equation, okay? And they're going to run a release route on the outside, and then this slot receiver is going to run what we call a widened arc sit, okay? 2nd and 8, you're just trying to get a completion if you're USC, certainly in the NFL. So as this corner drops out and has vision, Caleb's peeking that way. You understand the quarterback's reading. Now, this wide receiver is wide open in college football and in the NFL. 2nd and 8. Worst, we take that completion and we're in 3rd and 2. If not, we potentially could slip a tackle and go make a play. Now, Caleb doesn't make that throw. He resets to the top. It's going to be covered. There's only a 3-man rush from Stanford defensively, okay? Now, this is a strength of his. This is a great pocket reaction and feel out of him. He's going to back out, hang. Eyes stay downfield, even though there's that spy, and now retrace, and once he sees the opening to the right, this is the special element of his game. Points downfield and full speed running to the sideline. He's going to rip this ball from the 24-yard line to the back end zone and go right on that wide receiver out in front of his chest. So that's beautiful. So that you love that, right? Now, this is where you have to ask yourself, I want everybody at home to play along with me. Again, on Sundays, that wide receiver that we saw was wide open to the slot. Count yourself this and ask yourself if this is realistic transfer-wise to the NFL. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, 5 Mississippi, 6 Mississippi, 7 Mississippi, 8 Mississippi, 9 Mississippi, 10 Mississippi. So you sit there and go, wow, jaw-dropping play, outstanding athleticism, but 10 seconds in the NFL is not realistic. We have singular moments that it might hang. We saw Lamar Jackson do it this year versus the Detroit Lions, but that's where the Bears have to ask themselves, as much as you've fallen in love with some of those elements of his game, how much of them are actually going to happen on Sunday afternoons?
A lot of Mississippis there, RC.
10 of them.
It was 10 Mississippis. it would have only been like 7 or 8 Mississippis. Dan was clearly missing the I in there somewhere. When you think
he's never been to Mississippi.
Hey,
he's never been RC. He has no idea where Mississippi's at.
I don't know if you knew about that.
Nobody says it like that. Hey, but guys, when you think of Caleb Williams, this is who he's been since he became a starter in college football, in the NCAA. And I do believe that's going to be the question. I actually said that after watching him in person against Arizona State. I said the thing that is going to knock Caleb, or why you're going to try to move a Jaden Daniels in front of him at some point, is because he never plays on time, and it's seemingly because he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out if it is because he can't. Mississippi.
Yeah, like this whole quarterback thing is going to be fascinating because you got, you guys are making me laugh. You know, you got the kid Caleb Williams, who might be the second coming of Patrick Mahomes. You got Drake May, who could be the next coming of Josh Allen, and then you have Jaden Daniels, who has a little Lamar Jackson-esque to his game, and so I think all these guys, to me, are going to be projects. All these guys have to be worked with. All these guys are not finished projects. And so when they come into the league, Caleb Williams, just like the rest of them, can you put them in a system and can you manage them early on from trying to fulfill all these expectations in the first game of their NFL career?
All right, say it with me now, Dan. MISSISSIPPI.
Well, first of all, I said Mississippi.
That's not even how you said
Jaskin.
M-I, crooked letter, I, humpback. That's how you really say it.
Hold on, what was
Crooked
that?
letter, I hear you, Barry. Yeah.
Đội xông lên.
Đừng đi xin em một lần người phía xa.
I never fight just for the sake of fighting. My battles need to have meaning.
Your team has destroyed a tower. An ally has been defeated. Double kill! An enemy has been defeated! been defeated. Dominating. Shut down.
Inside me.
An enemy has been defeated. Enemy onslaught. An enemy has been defeated. Double kill. Aced. You have defeated. Victory.
Hết thì kệ hết. Kệ đi.